What's up, you guys? I hope you're doing well. We're here for our weekly energy oracle forecast. I'm tired. I didn't get a lot of hours of sleep last night after our Secret Teachings of Jesus video. I ate, took a shower, went to bed. I had to get up early and go to my niece's book launch party, which was really fun. She published a poetry book and she did a reading. And so I was like good crying for a while, talking with friends. And then I had a short break before work. And so I got really into filming our daily short today, which was, I continued the study on Psalm 72, which is the psalm to pray to protect oneself. And I just saw the security card against spiritual poverty. And so yesterday was part 1 where I read it to you guys from the Hebrew transliteration Bible in English. And then today I read it in Aramaic. And then I did a separate short just giving a brief overview of the significance of the Psalms and why the Hebrew translation is more accurate and just, some basic, general information about why we're learning to pray the Psalms. So go check that out. I've got a playlist started on the channel called Secrets of the Psalms. They're very powerful and very useful, and they really do work. In this moment in time where people are struggling financially and people at work are complaining about getting like 10% tips, which is insane. It's like people are still going out and having like a $500 dinner, but then they're trying to like save money on the tip, which doesn't really make a big difference after they've spent hundreds of dollars, but it makes a huge difference for us because yes, we still get taxed on tips and we have to tip out, we basically pay out of our income, the bartenders, the hosts, and the waiter's assistants. Plus we pay the credit card processing tips or credit card processing fees, which is 3.25% of the total of the bill, including the tax, plus 25 cents per card. So every time you go to a restaurant and you're with a huge group of people and you're like, can we split the check and everybody use separate cards? That server, it's highly likely that they have to pay like 25 cents per card. So after they've swiped all these cards, they're out like several dollars at that point. So keep that in mind as you are trying to be frugal. It doesn't make that big of a difference when it comes time to the gratuity, and it's really making a difference in a very negative way in other people's lives. So continue to tip at least 20%. Be good to these people. We work our asses off so you can have a good time. And so anyway, in this time where everybody's struggling, I'm like, you guys, I made this video, watch it. It's pray the psalm with me. It's for protection against poverty. Every time I pray it, I go into work. Work is extra busy. I've been making, pretty good money in comparison. And I owe it to, God is my provider, right? But we have to meet God halfway. We have to have that faith. We have to open the vessel to be able to receive that. And so part of it is just believing and understanding that the table isn't your source of income. Your job isn't the source of income, but God's your source of income. And then praying, and on top of that, using prayer like we're supposed to. And then particularly when you discover that there is a specific prayer that can help you. There's my oven heater. The oven's warm. Well, there's a specific prayer that can help you with money. And then there's an even more powerful way to enhance that prayer. It's I keep telling people this and no one, hardly anybody listens to me. So, it's Jesus was like this too. He would tell people and some people would take it in, and then others around him, sometimes the people that were closest to him were just they didn't get it at all, just bounced right off. So I remind myself of that when I get frustrated with the world. I'm like, here's these helpful tools. It's like growing up, my mom would have these ailments, and I'm like, you just need to drink more water. You got to drink more water. for over a decade, I told this woman she needed to drink more water. And then when her best friend's daughter, Rachel, told her to drink more water, Rachel is like my mom's dream daughter. Like, she would have much rather had Rachel as a daughter. Rachel is quiet, pretty, and nice. And she has a decorating blog that went viral, and all the trappings of success and non-controversy. So she loves Rachel, and she had the nerve, this woman had the nerve to tell me one day, did you know, Rachel told me I just needed to drink more water. And I almost wrestled my mom to the ground and choked her. Nexus. Nexus is the network, how things are all connected, the people that you're connected to, the platform, your reach with people, the actions that you take to lead to other things. This is like, did you guys ever see that movie, The Adjustment Bureau? The premise was that the two main characters were like supposed to cross paths and meet. It's like they were soulmates and they were meant to be. And it sort of showed you like the behind the scenes of like these angelic, like kind of people in like trench coats that were like going through these back alleys, and they knew these shortcuts. They would walk through these doors and stuff, and they were like throwing things in the way. It was like Fate, basically, in worker bee style, like moving parts and pieces to try to like make things happen. This is that whole thing where it's like the flap of a butterfly wing is like the thing that sets off these the domino effect and puts the ball in motion, so to speak. So it's not only like who you are connected with and your network of people, but it's the effort you put out, the energy you put out in the world, the good works you do with your hands, the thoughts, the words that you're saying, your intention, your consciousness, everything. It's all connected, and it's all like this, it's living organism, right? And I feel like these flies are like swarming around. It's like there's activity building, right? So consider your nexus. All of that's going to be related this week. It's funny too, because the girl that I was kind of talking to a lot at my niece's book launch party, we were partnered together on a private party at work tonight, and we were just talking all day about, like, she's a content creator. I talk about her sometimes. She's the poet with like over 100,000 followers who's still struggling the same to like try to get the right engagement and to try to like get people to buy her book. And we talk about the struggles of like how it doesn't matter that I have like a handful of followers and she has 100,000. We have the same struggle trying to sell this like under $20 product. It's like to people who are apparently like really huge fans. It's like the connected struggle. But we were talking about how we should do a video together and just talk about like the life of a creative person in the modern times. But think about that, like who you know. And like when we were talking today, she was giving me like these little inside tips that she'd learned about Facebook and the algorithm. And I was giving her like inside tips and things about things that I've picked up over time about like YouTube and stuff. And so it was very helpful. So when you get two or more together and you're like-minded and you have the same intention and the same goal, especially when there's unity there and you have no bad blood and you want good things for one another, there's no evil eye involved, that's very powerful for your manifestation. In fact, earlier or last night in the Secret Teachings of Jesus video, I mentioned that one of the times that God sort of sabotaged the human people was when they started to build the Tower of Babel. And the Tower of Babel wasn't necessarily literally like a tower, so to speak, but it was this way that the people, the Babylonians, I think they were like so unified, and they knew how to work the system using like Hebrew like mysticism and things, that they were sort of bypassing the real intent of it. They were using it for their own means. And because they were so united in their cause, they understood the power of unity, they were getting away with it. It was working. Like they were becoming very powerful in their sorcery, but it was really negative, and God didn't like it, because instead of elevating their soul in order to reveal that light. They were just bypassing all the inner work and all the change and all the growth. So they were just taking and taking and taking for the self alone, and not taking and receiving for the sake of others as well. So God had to cause them to be confused by changing people's language so that they couldn't communicate, that they would break up the unity to slow them down, and to prevent them from being overly powerful without the consciousness to be able to handle that kind of power. So same, but if we do that in a conscious way, with pure hearts, that's very powerful for us. So, surround yourself with people who share your values and share your interests, and who build you up and make you feel inspired, and, give you a sense of hope and joy and add to your creativity, who have, input and things that they can add to your ideas and expand upon them. Who we surround ourselves with matters, because they say that you're like the sum of the 5 people you're around the most. So it matters about people's energy and their consciousness and their hearts and their values. Support. We need to rely on building community and friends, right? Marianne Williamson is one of my favorite people who have been longtime spiritual teachers, but she's also been a longtime activist and a politician. She actually ran for president in the last 2 elections. And she makes videos every day encouraging people through this time, and commenting on politics, and sometimes giving spiritual encouragement, sometimes giving political encouragement. But she was just talking about the protests over the week, and how we need to be very hopeful and inspired, because there were millions of people across the country who actually protested. Whether you saw footage of a sparse group of people in a small town, or huge mass gatherings in Boston, what the powerful thing is that all these people were able to get together. They did this peacefully. There were no, violent disruptions, or there was no destruction. It was all very positive, and it gave people an understanding that there are so many people, even that weren't there, that agree with that are all on the same side, right? So the protest wasn't ever going to change Donald Trump's mind. You can't change the mind of a sociopathic narcissist, right? They're going to do what they're going to do. If you've ever known any personally, you understand this. There's no breaking through, and they just keep doubling down in their hardness. But what it does do is it unifies us, who are people who want to love their neighbor and who want to do things for the good of this country. And so it gives people hope. It gives people a chance to get to know new people that they wouldn't have known before, to build communities, to support one another. So even if it's not politically related, and say you're a person like me who's a creative person, and you want to bring your light and your talents into the world, sometimes it can feel impossible, because it's you're working against these algorithms that are completely one-dimensional, that don't make any sense. So you're having to figure out how to play this game with a thing that doesn't understand the real point. For me, for the algorithm, they want you to only follow people in your niche, and talk about things that are strictly in your niche, and have objects around you in the frame that are just in your niche. And it's for people like me, and for my friend who's a poet, we want to be able to reach all kinds of people who have different interests. It doesn't do me any good to just bring my message to other metaphysical coaches. They're trying to, we already know what we're doing. We need to find the people who need the coaches, right? Which are all kinds of people with all kinds of interests. And so it can get really discouraging, because there's always another person who's I'm going to teach you how to go viral. And it's it's always just some douchey editing that they're convinced that this is the way it's going to be. And you got to do it, this time of day and all that. And you're okay, but there are people who are viral who don't do any of those things. They're just there making a raw piece of content with barely any editing, and they're just being themselves. And it's again, it's God is the PR person. God can control the algorithm. I had this weird dream the other night. It wasn't weird. It was actually pretty awesome. How I was like looking for something to do. I wanted something to do. I was like trying to find like something to do at work. It was like work was happening, but it wasn't at work. It was around a table though, and I was trying to make myself useful. I was like, I want to do something, but until I'm anointed, I don't know what to do. And then like, it was like God's voice was like, you'll be anointed to do something, but until then, it's like you're just hanging out. Just hang out. And I was like, whoa. So it's like waiting on that timing, you know? Sometimes it's really hard because you're like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And it's like, sometimes we just have to trust, right? But having the people around you that can reinforce, you know, sometimes I get so discouraged, and then my friend will be like, keep at it. Like, you're the most disciplined person I know. Like, you have inspired me so much. I'm like, really? You know? So having the people around you that can lift you up when you're down and who can, you know, make you feel like you have, you know, a network of comfort and support and backup, you know, and who have your back. Like, it's irreplaceable when you feel like you have those good people around you. So we need to build community. We need to support each other, and we need to give one another support. I always love her use of knockout roses in these images, because knockout roses are so hardy, they're so sturdy, they're so tough, and they're so prolific. So with support, so much easier to be resilient and get through harsh conditions and still be prolific within those harsh conditions. You know, it's hard to make ourselves focus right now, because when we're in trauma response, sometimes we want to run. Sometimes we want to fight, flight. We want to freeze. It's like, and sometimes freezing just looks like, I can't get motivated to get up early enough. I sit down to do the thing, and I'm just like, I start staring off into space, or I go into a trance, right? Sometimes it looks like obvious procrastination, where you just open and you're scrolling and you're checking, and you know, sometimes it's like you're trying to do a task, but you can't do it the efficient, quick way. And so even though you think you're trying to go through the motions of taking action, it's like somehow you're still doing it inefficiently. Like freezing can look very subtle, and it can look like a lot of different things. And a lot of times we start beating ourselves up because we think that this is a personality flaw, when really it's because we have a dysregulated nervous system. And I mean, if you're stressed out about anything in 2025, I mean, pick an issue, pick a crisis, like whether it's a natural disaster or what. Our nervous systems are taking a hit. And so it's good to be able to have tools in your tool belt to soothe your spirit, soothe your soul, and soothe your heart, and soothe your nervous system. Release. And we keep having these cards about messages over the weeks about meditation. And I've just been so busy. I haven't been able to sit in quiet meditation. I have sat at some points and like read my Bible, but I haven't really had a lot of extra time to just sit in meditation. So I need to do that, which again, just letting y'all know, I appreciate any comment you give me or whatever, but if I don't answer it, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't see it. They're helping me, and they're helping this channel get out there. I just sometimes don't have any extra minutes in the day to answer those comments. You'd be surprised at how much time it takes to try to think of something to say other than thanks. It takes time. And sometimes I'm like making the videos with wet nails and like late for work, and then like doing editing at the stoplight when I'm stopped. So please don't take it personally. I appreciate any participation that you guys give me. I just don't have a lot of extra time a lot of times. So release. We need to release the past. We're in Aries season now, which is the head of the new year. This is true with people who observe like the elemental new year. And this is true in the Hebrew calendar. Nisan is the month of Aries. That's the Hebrew word for Aries. And this is the real new year. I mean, it's spring. It's the head of the year. The ram is associated with the head. It's the baby. It's the birth of the zodiac. So we are in the beginning, and it's time to leave the past behind us. And any of the death and decay that's useful will be made and repurposed into the things that nurture us, that make us hardy and strong and resilient, like those knockout roses, right? But we've got to release our bugaboos here. And what are those? Those are the scaries. Those are, the stress, the regret, the grudges, the spite, all those things that we hold on to that are so precious to us and our ego. They're really just weighing us down and holding us back, and they're toxic. One of the things to prepare for Passover is deep cleaning, spring cleaning. So you want to get rid of the things that have been piling up in that drawer, anything in the closets, take your recycling, like get rid of old clothes that you're not using. Anything that's like taking up space that's not bringing you joy, like Marie Kondo says, like if it's not bringing you joy, throw it away. If you haven't used it in a year, throw it away. I understand, because I'm one of those people where it's hard to let go of certain things because my wardrobe, oh my God, I collect clothes. Like, it's like I have these pieces that I love for years on end. So there are certain things where I understand you don't want to get rid of them. And there are things that are useful that come in handy when you're in certain scenarios and not others. So look to see like what's not useful, what is just a waste of space, and get rid of that stuff, right? Another thing we do during Passover is we get rid of all the crumbs and the dust. Like we really deep clean the house. And what we're specifically looking for is breadcrumbs. You're not supposed to, Passover is 8 days long. And so you're supposed to abstain from bread and all grains during that week. And it's because bread is representative of the ego, and bread expands, right? Grains and pastas, they expand, they get puffed up. And so does the ego. And so that's why we don't eat leavened bread. And it's suggested to get the bread out of your house, like even good bread, pastas, put them in a container, stick them somewhere else for 8 days, right? But you need to go through the house and make sure there's no breadcrumbs around. And don't eat bread for that week. And Passover starts this Saturday and ends next Saturday or Sunday. Oh, it ends next Sunday because it ends on Easter. So release, let go of the past, let go of the things that you're holding on so tightly to. I see anxiety at the bottom of the deck here. We're letting go of anxiety, which is difficult. Like there's a lot of like really heavy stuff going on out there right now. I struggle with it too, especially as a person who's a very prophetic and very sensitive and empathic. Like it's I'm haunted by the prophecies, you guys. Ego. Sometimes the deck is just talking back to me, and it's like, yeah, I know, right, girl? Ego, you said it. I said what I said. So yeah, it's like these thoughts grow like weeds in our mind, and they suffocate the good vegetation in our garden. Whenever I weed my garden, I think of pulling out those bad thoughts, pulling out my ego. I'm weeding my ego while I'm grounding, while I'm getting my hands in the dirt and the soil. I'm pulling out those weeds, and it feels really good, and it's very calming and very soothing. But this is the thing. When we leave Egypt, we have to do it quickly before the bread has time to rise, right? We have to leave under 18 minutes. And what happens when you don't act quickly upon divine guidance? Your ego starts coming in, and it justifies all the ways that you don't really need to do that. That's going to take effort. You want to stay in your comfort zone. You don't know what's ahead, what's out in the unknown. Oh, the wilderness before me. Why go out into the wilderness when I don't know what's going to be there? I've got the comfort of my slavery here. I've got beautiful fruits and vegetation in Egypt. In the bondage. The Egypt is about the ego and about being trapped in the material world, in the material level of the mind, in the mundane mind, not understanding that we can be channels of absolute miracles. And what it takes is tapping into that higher mind by overcoming that lower carnal mind. We have to transcend that animalistic, instinctual self that, is scrapping for survival, that is driven by our lust and our greed and our hunger for power and more and more and more. We have to be able to go beyond that and believe what we can't see. Believe beyond our conditioning, believe beyond our unconscious defense mechanisms and our dysregulated nervous systems. Right? So the ego is going to be probably fighting back and showing itself this week. And that's going to be good because that's the way we see it. Once it's triggered, it feels like that's inconvenient. It feels like, oh, why do I always have to be paired with this person when I can't stand them? Or why do I always have to do this task when I hate doing this task? It's like, that's the blessing, because that helps you have an opportunity to overcome that attitude about the thing. Right? That thing keeps presenting, so you have the opportunity to approach it differently and embrace it. And the moment we embrace it and we're willing, usually there's no need for that lesson anymore. So it stops antagonizing us like that. But the universe sends us these things again and again and again because it's part of the tikkun that we need to correct for. What is our tikkun? It's those assignments for our soul that are usually challenging and hard to deal with. So we have releasing our fears and our anxieties and our, our prejudices, our judgment, our self-righteousness, releasing grudges and spite, bitterness, sadness about the past, regrets, all of those things that weigh us down, that we want to hold on to, that prevent us from being able to get out of Egypt and flee quickly. We've got to, pay attention to that ego and get rid of the thoughts that are suffocating our joy, suffocating our freedom, suffocating the positive, nurturing growth, the good vegetation that wants to grow in our mind, all of our creativity, all of our ideas, that bliss. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is within us. And it starts by having a peaceful mind and a peaceful heart, right? And that's when your outer circumstances start to change. We can be our own heaven and our own hell. And we know that for sure. And then part of what is going to help is who you surround yourself with. God told Moses, don't take the mixed multitude with you. This is going to, it's gonna be it's going to contaminate the people. And it's not literal. He's not saying be prejudiced against certain people, but it's the mindset of the people that came with them and the motives and the intentions, right? It's not saying one group is better than the other. When we're talking about Israelites, this isn't about necessarily a nationality or an ethnicity. The Israelites are people who want to change their heart and soul to be more like the Creator. Not in an egoic, self-righteous way where I'm like, I am a God on earth and I get to say what you do and assert dominance and aggression. That is perverse version of that. That is antichrist. But becoming more like the Creator means unconditional sharing, unconditional love, being not the effect but the cause, right? And being stable and grounded and solid and faithful, So surrounding ourselves with the good thoughts, the good mindset, the good consciousness, which will provide good feelings. And then we choose the people we are closest to, right? It's not to say that we're not kind and we don't have these friends and acquaintances that we work with and that are around us in our community. Those, nobody's perfect. But the people that are our close-knit circle that we spend the most time with, try to surround yourself with people who understand what you're about and who are like that also. But you also don't want to create an echo chamber. You want to be able to have different personalities who have different viewpoints too. But at the same time, you don't want people who are vengeful, diabolical, selfish. They put a lot of evil eye on people. You want to be careful about the people that you have around because they will defile your spirit and your energy and your aura. And when you have these good people around, people that will pray with you, people who will believe for you and root for you, that's the support that we all need right now, right? And that will help you remain resilient. It will help you blossom even in times of difficulty, even in times of uncertainty, even through, weathering the storms, whether it's raining fire or hail or tornadoes or whatever it has in 2025. We need good people around us to have our backs, to be there to support, whether we need a hug or a talk or someone to listen, or if we need, some piece of equipment to borrow or supplies. Like, we need that network. We need people who can share their know-how, share their expertise with one another instead of trying to gatekeep their knowledge so that they can get ahead of everybody else. It's like at work. I'm trying to tell people, pray the psalm, pray the psalm. We can all be attracting in the right clients, the right clientele if we're all praying this. God is good, and he's not going to take from me. If you start praying the psalm, he's going to bring extra in. Will people listen? Not always. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they're just like, oh, that sounds like it would be nice if that was real, but it's not. Like, some people just don't believe, or they won't listen, or they think about it and then they forget about it and they never follow through and do it. Not everybody's the person who's going to be like, you know what? I am going to order that book. I'm going to pray it for myself. I'm going to learn it myself. I'm going to learn how to pronounce Hebrew myself, and I'm going to do this. Some people will, some people won't. The very few actually do. So that's why, even though we only have a few people here that watch these videos, you're the few that are actually getting deeper insight into the real meaning of things. Not to say that I am like hot shit or anything, but I study through wise people who have wisdom that's been ancient wisdom that hasn't been available to the public until this century. Not this century, but the last 100 years. And so to appreciate and value that knowledge is available, when before it was handed down to like apprentices, and there were people spread out all over the world that had this wisdom, but it was very, very secretive and very intentional who was trained, who was brought up in that priesthood, so to speak. So the fact that we have this available now, and then you have all these other people who add in all this conspiracy stuff, so it gets muddied, it gets diluted, right? And then there's the fact that I do have a gift, and it prophets have prophesied over me since I was a baby that I would have this thin veil, that I would be able to look at the pages of the scripture and the words would just light up. So I think that that's very precious, and I'm here to try to share those gifts in the best way I can, and I've tried to cultivate these gifts and share them with you. That's why I want this channel to get out to the people that need it. That's why I ask for the likes. That's why I ask for the comments. It's not for my validation. I'm a person, I don't need a lot of validation. I validate myself. I'm conceited, I guess, in a good way. But what I do want is for other people to have access to this as well. So I did have an idea for I would like to teach more on scripture. I might start doing that as paid courses that are in small units. Like, for instance, I could talk for hours on just the first couple of chapters of Genesis. So I might do a series and release that, sort of like I did the 2025 prediction series. It's not going to be super expensive, but it might be probably more than $10 because it's going to be a lot of effort and time involved. But I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like I want to start making this content, but also I only have so many hours in the day, so I have to monetize it in some way. And I've begged you guys to just and take action on the videos so that YouTube would pay me. But that's very difficult to get that done too. And some people were like, make shorter videos. And I've made shorter videos and no one watches them. I have a couple of videos this week that are under 10 minutes and they have no views. So I don't know. I'm doing my best, but I don't know. I poured my heart and soul into the 2025 prediction series. It's still available in the description box below. It's $10. It's an invaluable tool. I've been listening to it myself, and it's encouraged me through the months. So we still have the rest of the year to go. You have all the monthly readings, even the readings for the months that have already happened. You always get evergreen wisdom from me. I'm always giving you guys deep wisdom secrets from Kabbalah and from the scripture and things like that. The things that I'm telling you are always going to be encouraging messages, even if the month is already passed. Plus, you get a yearly overview and seasonal quarterly readings. And then there's actual journal questions under the videos in the description boxes that will give you tools to sort of do the work yourself, your inner work, and kind of prepare yourself for the challenges that are going to come, and also the opportunities and the sort of qualities within ourselves that are going to be coming up to be highlighted. So that's there. If you do purchase it, what will happen is you will have a link sent to you automatically to your email. And that link will take you to a private playlist on YouTube where you will have access to all the videos, and then the questions are under the description box. And that's a one-time purchase of $10. It's not like a subscription or anything. All right, you all. I hope you have a good week. We'll be back together tomorrow for our weekly anchor message where we will get our spiritual assignments for the week. All right, ciao. I meant to throw this idea in that will help. So in the comments, when you leave a comment, if you don't know what to say, and you can just drop keywords that you think that will help get this video out to the people who are going to be searching for these things. What did you search that you were looking for that you got when you came to this video? Just drop some relevant keywords that you think will help get this into the algorithm and make it search engine friendly, right? Put our heads together. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to be I like the video. You don't have to tell me what was relevant to you. I would love to hear it, but keywords. That would be helpful, because then it's we have people's multiple ideas. Sometimes when I look at the search terms that found my video, I'm people search for that? That is the most random ass shit. So if you have keywords that you think are popular, that you use, that you somehow found this with, drop them in the comments. All right, ciao.